What's up, everybody? Welcome to what is only the second edition of our Funko Pop stories. This, like I said previously, is something I would like to be sort of a regular thing on my channel, but it really does come down to participation, whether or not I'll be able to keep this going. But I do have enough entries for a second edition here, so we're going to go ahead and get into it. But before I share the entries this time, of course, I do want to share one of my own stories once again. Now, if you've been watching my channel recently, you may have seen the video that focused on Disney Funko Pops that should be made. And like I said at the beginning of that video, I don't know Disney super well, so I turned things over to Cat D, a friend of mine, to basically take the reins on that and to share her ideas. So I want to share a pop that basically will let you know how Cat D and I became friends. Now, of course, recently I did get the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 Yondu Pop, which was an Emerald City Comic Con exclusive. So I'm sitting this up here for a reason, because it was actually thanks to the first Yondu Pop that Cat D and I became friends. So what happened is there's a company called Nerd Block, which if you've been a collector for a while, you may be familiar with them. Nerd Block had monthly subscription boxes. They had different types of blocks. I know they had horror block, I believe sci-fi block. And then they pretty much just had like their standard box, and you would get random items within it, including Funko Pops. And they also did like boxes that were special for Comic Cons. That's how I got that Infinity Gauntlet up there. Somebody asked about that in a recent like in the comments of a recent video, but yeah, that's where I got that from. It was actually one of the Nerd Block Comic Con boxes. But anyway, they would also do this thing called Vinyl Palooza, where you would get a bunch of random vinyl figures, mainly Funko Pops. Sometimes they would throw in Titans vinyls and some other items, but yeah, it was mainly Funko Pops. So this was pretty early on in the collecting and pretty early on in the YouTube for me, so that's why I was willing to actually buy a box of random Pops. That's not something I think I would do anymore. But, you know, since I was early into collecting, I was trying to build up my collection. I was like, you know what, I'll go for it. So, the Pops I got, I think for the most part, I was happy with them. But I had an Agent Smith Pop, you know, Agent Smith from The Matrix. And I didn't really plan on collecting those Pops, you know, for The Matrix. So I was checking out videos to see what other people had gotten in their, you know, Vinyl Palooza box. And I just happened to come across Cat D's channel. She and I pretty much started on YouTube, I think around the same time, pretty close together. So yeah, I just happened to come across her video, and I saw that she had a Yondu Pop, and she basically said she was willing to trade it. You know, so I was like, even though I hadn't spoken to her at all, I was like, you know what, let me actually hit her up and see if we could work out a trade, you know, Yondu for Agent Smith. And, you know, it just so happened that she was cool with that trade. And then from there, we were just, you know, checking out each other's channels, and we did several more trades. And at this point, we've done a lot of trades. You can see that if you go back through our channels, yeah, we've done a lot of trades at this point, and we really are good friends. I would say that Cat D is one of the few people that, like, if either one of us stopped doing YouTube, I think we still would, you know, be friends. Beyond that, can't say that about everybody. There's already been some people I consider to be friends that decided to stop doing YouTube, and I just don't hear from them anymore. You know, then that's pretty much by their choice. But yeah, I don't think it would be that way with Cat D. She is a really cool person. We get along really well, and we do try to support each other. So yeah, again, it's really thanks to me wanting this Yondu Pop that she got in her Vinyl Palooza box, and she didn't want to keep. You know, we did that trade, and we ended up becoming friends from there, and we're friends to this day. And that's why, you know, I was glad to actually have her on my channel helping out with that that Disney video. So yeah, that's just another one of my Pop stories, and I think that is a beautiful thing about collecting. You really can make some good friends out of this. It might be friends on different levels. I mean, you may have some people that you're only friends based around your interest in Funko, but then if you're lucky, you get some friends that you really get to know them beyond just their interest in this hobby, and they can be like long-term friends, you know. So that is pretty cool about this hobby. But yeah, that's enough of me jibber-jabbering about my own story. Let me go ahead and get into the other entries that we have this time. Just like I did in the previous video, I am going to share these stories in alphabetical order. So we're going to kick things off here with Griffith. It says here, my name is Cam Griffith and this is my Funko story. So I'm in Mexico, and in my free time when I wasn't either swimming, sitting at the beach, or even sitting by the pool, I would sit in my hotel room and watch unboxing videos on YouTube because all the TV channels were in Spanish. Anyway, I'm watching unboxings and I stumbled upon a video that was basically unboxing Funko Pops. I had a slight understanding of what they were because I would see them in Hot Topic when I would shop for tees or something of that sort. I did have one, which was Harry Potter in his Quidditch gear. Anyway, I'm watching this video and I think to myself, hey, it'd be kind of fun to collect these. Here's the real kicker. I was in a whole different country on vacation and I found out San Diego Comic-Con was going on. There were some pretty cool shared exclusives. Some that immediately caught my eye were Joker Batman, Tony Stark with helmet from the Spider-Man Homecoming series, Luna Lovegood, and Okami. When I got back to America, I immediately started hunting them ASAP. Lucky for me, I was able to score Joker Batman and Tony Stark. I wish I could have gotten Okami, Luna, and Steve now that I'm a huge Stranger Things fan. And he also ends up his story here by saying, let's spread positivity. And if you look at the pictures that he included here, you can see that he did manage to get some other SDCC exclusives. I gotta say real quick, relating to his story, I do think the conventions are very positive for collectors. Of course, they bring a lot of excitement. They bring a lot of new interesting figures. So yeah, I actually think these conventions are pretty important. And as far as Funko is concerned, really the main ones are Emerald City Comic Con, even though that's like probably the smaller of the main three. But yeah, Emerald City Comic Con, then I would say San Diego Comic Con is probably still the biggest one. And then they have, of course, New York Comic Con as well, which does pretty well. There is the LA one, but as far as that goes with Funko, very few pops. I mean, the last one, I think there was only 4 pops that they did. Maybe that will change over time, but yeah, these conventions, they really do help out collectors. They basically keep things exciting. Next up here, we have a story from Eduardo Hernandez. It says, I was in Canada for a vacation to meet up with my friend for the first time. During the end of the trip, we visited EB Games. I came across this beautiful pop. At the time, I wasn't collecting as much, so I decided to leave this pop behind. A couple of years later, I checked the value on the pop and realized I made my biggest mistake as a collector. Now I use this picture as a reminder to never let something amazing get past me. And Eduardo, that happens to, I think, every collector. Eventually you pass something up, not too worried about it, or you think it'll be there later on, or whatever the case may be, and then you realize you missed out on something that's pretty special and something that does go up in value. It's definitely happened to me before. And yeah, I think it's just a lesson you learn as a collector to if you think there's a chance that something is going to be something you would regret not having and you got the money, go ahead and pick it up. But for some collectors, that's not always feasible. But yeah, it's just one of those tough things about collecting. Like I said, I think everybody has that experience where they pass up on something and they end up regretting it later on. Next here we have a story from a fellow YouTuber, Ethan, and it says here, a couple of months back when 10-inch Hulk was just starting to come out, I became very interested in obtaining it because of its enormous size and uniqueness. I was constantly calling the targets around me to get some word on when it would come in. One target in particular said that they had the Hulks in the back and that they were not out on the floor. My dad, brother, and I rushed over to get it. When we got there, an employee told us that we had to wait at a minimum of 3 hours for it to be put out on the floor. We were committed to waiting and waited for about an hour and a half. When I asked the employee what the wait time was looking at now, he found out that there was an error in the system and that we had waited for nothing. As much as I was upset, I knew that I could still get it if I just waited. So when all the targets in our area started to receive them, my mom rushed over to one for me because I was in school at the time. She was shocked to find that someone had taken 2 out of the 6 Hulks out of the shipping box and that the 4 left had broken hammers. Feeling sad but still hopeful, I continued on with my day. The following night, I called the Target in the mall. They told me that they had 2 Hulks. At the time, this was the holidays, so Target had a rule about putting items on hold. However, through some miracle, I was able to put one on hold. I ended up getting that night, I ended up going that night and getting one of the Hulks. This was a crazy journey that made me see that nothing is impossible if you try hard enough. So yeah, Ethan definitely put in the work there. And I gotta say, I respect that type of collector. I'm not sure why it is. There are some people that basically they kind of complain about missing out on a pop sometimes before the pop is even released. If you're really going to be a serious collector, you got to be able to be patient and to really grind and put in that work basically to track down the figures that you're interested in. And patience is really the big thing. So yeah, I really don't get sometimes why some people give up so quickly. Like I said, if you're going to be a collector, you got to be willing to hunt things down the way that Ethan did. So much respect to Ethan for, basically tracking down what he wanted. And I will say again, with that 10-inch Hulk, it was kind of a mess with people trying to, being able to find those, and especially to find one without a broken hammer was pretty tough. Our next entry here comes from James Pickens. It says here, in 2015, my PSN friends sent these 8 horror pops for my birthday and Christmas. They know me so well. I started collecting more. On one of my mini hunts at a GameStop, my brother was present. I showed him some of the Suicide Squad pops. We bought 3 of them that day. Shortly after that, through mostly eBay, he bought just about every different one there is. My brother and I are very close, but now we share another hobby. My brother's collection now includes X-Files, both Battlestar Galactica series, and Doctor Who. My collection includes a lot of different lines and has grown from these original 8 to around 175 pops. I'm not going to count all the other Funko products, too many to count. My friends still send me presents for my birthday and Christmas. They almost refuse to send me pops due to them not knowing which ones I may pick up before the package arrives. My brothers and my collection continue to grow. My PSN friends now have more things to discuss while chatting and playing games. It's funny, I can definitely identify with this, some people being nervous to send me pops because they know there's a chance that I may end up getting them, or I may I may pick them up myself, or I may trade for them, or somebody else may send it to me, which does happen sometimes. And that's just something I think happens with most collectors as your collection continues to grow. But one thing I do want to say relating to James' letter here that I think is a pretty beautiful thing is I really like to see family members that share this hobby, and that's something for them to do. It's a way for them to get out and to spend time together. That is pretty awesome to see. And I would say, especially for my fellow YouTubers, if you know people that are into hunting, that's something that's, I think it makes some of the best hunting videos when you're actually out with friends and family members. So, just keep that in mind. If you got people you can hunt with, take advantage of that, and definitely have fun with that. Our final entry for this video comes from Mr. Narwhal Gaming, and his is a brief story here. It says, the story I want to tell is about the first time I found a chase in the wild. After seeing Jumanji, I popped into the HMV a minute or two walk down the road. I had been looking around for about 5 minutes before I decided to have a look upstairs. I got 4 steps from the top, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw that sticker. I decided to sprint up the last few steps. I rushed to the pop, snatched it up, and held it against my chest as if I was Gollum with the One Ring. So, yeah, congratulations, of course, finding your first chase there. Not sure how long ago that's been for you, exactly, but yeah, finding that first chase in the wild really is a great feeling. Even though the value of chase figures has come down for the most part because Funko is making more of them, still, it is a pretty good feeling to find a chase in the wild, especially that first time. So that is going to do it for this edition of our Funko Pop stories. Once again, I really enjoyed, checking out other people's stories, and of course, I appreciate the images that they shared as well to go along with their stories. And this is only my second time doing this, but each time it just made me feel more connected to the community. I really think it is a cool thing to hear these different experiences that people have. And, in some ways the experiences are similar, some ways they're different. It's interesting regardless. So if you would like to participate and you want to see this series continue, do consider, basically sharing an entry yourself. And you see the information here at the bottom. It says to participate in the next edition of our Funko Pop stories, email your story to fmfunkonews@gmail.com. And please make sure you include a picture that is related to the story, and also specify the name that you want to be addressed by. within that. And then something else I don't have there here on the screen, but I will say this as well, is if you send a story, please be patient, because there's really no set time on when I will do the next one. But I definitely hope I get enough entries to do this again, because like I said, I've had fun with it thus far, and I hope that you all have enjoyed this video. And if you haven't checked out the last one, please check out the that first one that I did as well. But yeah, that's gonna do it for now. You all take care, and I will talk to you all again real soon.